What's happening, good people of the world? It is your man, the Big Heavy, and back with some disappointing news on the F-150. After, I don't even know how long, it's probably been a good 10 plus years since I've gotten into a car accident. 4 months into my ownership of the 2021 F-150, Platinum, Power Boost, Hybrid, all the superlatives, some joker backed into me. And to give you the scenario, I was driving to a Boy Scout camping trip, had 4 or 5 young men in the car, some other scouts that I was taking over there. We were heading out as we typically do on a Friday evening, pretty dark, no moon, that sort of thing. Probably about an hour and a half away from where I live. And we got to the state park where we were camping. It was a little bit confusing as to where we were going, which apparently I wasn't the only one who was confused. And I got to an intersection where ultimately we needed to turn to get to our campsite. And there was kind of a downhill slope going into this intersection, or going into this, like there was a main road, and then coming off to the right was the turn to take to get to the actual camping area. And there were 3 vehicles ahead of me. So the first one was a truck towing a trailer from another scout troop that, for whatever reason, had stopped in the middle of the road, backing the entire road up. It was kind of a 1-lane triangular intersection type deal. Behind that person was somebody towing a pop-up camper. And then in front of me was one of the other guys from my scout troop with some other folks in the car, no trailer or anything, and then me. So we're all kind of sitting there, and the 3 of us are wondering why this jabroni is stopped and not going anywhere.
So the troop trailer up at the front of this convoy here.
The guy in front of me pulled off. There's like a little dirt turn-off area, and was able to kind of get around everyone going the wrong way down the other side of that triangle, and ultimately head over to the campsite. I assume the guy in front of me who had the pop-up trailer decided that he would do the same thing. I rolled forward a bit after my fellow scout guy had left and was just sort of sitting there. And then all of a sudden he backed up. And by virtue of the fact that it was a downhill, I think he had to hit the gas pretty hard. He didn't have any reverse lights on his trailer. So, I was just kind of sitting there. And then all of a sudden, the guy starts coming at me, honk the horn, bangs into me.
You Dumbo. Why did you do that?
Not a very hard hit. Nobody was hurt. I assume he wasn't going more than 5 or 6 miles an hour in reverse, but hit my front tail light, bent the hood just a little bit, jacked up not my tail light, my headlight, jacked up the tail light, the hood a little bit, pushed in the bumper a little bit. It actually sounded worse than it looked ultimately, but the repair bill was pretty high. And I'll put that up on the screen. I think the big ticket item, and probably the thing to recognize with these vehicles, is just that one headlight assembly is like $1,600. I don't know if they quote the OEM off the shelf rate, but that's what the body shop quoted. This is the insurance recommended body shop, so I assume they use whatever negotiated rates the insurance company has. But that's almost half the $3,000 plus cost of the repairs. And the other, $1,500 is not unexpected. I think anytime you get into something where you're doing some painting, just the labor and the paint and all that stuff can obviously get up there. But that $1,600 for a headlight is a little bit surprising. This is the fancy headlight. It's the one with the LED and reflectors, and it's kind of cool when you're driving around. You turn a little bit, the headlights will redirect to point to where you're turning. So all that coolness apparently costs about $3,200 for a pair of 2 headlights. And the funny thing that you'll probably laugh about is, this happened Friday night when we got there. After exchanging insurance information with a guy, I was relatively pleased that I didn't lose my cool and, start dropping F-bombs in front of a car full of scouts.
Dumbo.
Again, got out of the car, and you never know in these types of situations whether someone's going to be flying off the handle. So everyone stayed calm, exchanged info, went on about our ways, got set up, and ultimately set up tents and had a nice camping weekend. But I think that, that Friday night I was sitting in my tent, I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, and was sort of stewing over the fact that, my brand new truck is now a little bit jacked up, and B, is this going to cause an insurance problem? There's always a bit of a he said, she said type scenario with insurance things. And I was like, if only I had some way to prove that this guy just kind of backed up into me. And wouldn't it be great if I had some video? And then, you'll laugh if you've seen my dash cam installation video. It took me like 8 hours to have light done on Marblehead, and finally remember that I did actually have a dash cam that I installed in the vehicle. So went back to the truck, which was kind of parked there, was able to download the footage. One of the reasons I bought that Garmin dash cam is it has Wi-Fi capabilities. It's supposed to upload video clips to the cloud, download software, do all this wonderful stuff, which sounds really cool in practice. It's super slow. It must have taken me, 25 minutes or so to download the footage. And that was selecting like the 5 minutes or so when the collision actually occurred. So I ultimately got that download to my phone, and my insurance agent said that, just in general, it's the other person's fault if they back into you. He watched the dash cam footage, said this kind of puts an exclamation point on that fact, and I shouldn't have to pay my deductible. It shouldn't cause any problems for my insurance. It should be the other person at fault. Still waiting for all that to kind of work its way through the insurance system. A few things I want to leave you with. Number one, that repairs on this truck are obviously fairly expensive. Those headlights are, the fanciness does cost quite a bit of dough. The other stuff wasn't unexpected. I think they're going to try and essentially repair the minor dings. Repair's a little expensive on this vehicle. If you're going to hit something in the front, be prepared for a couple or $3,000 parts expense if you smash up one of those headlights. So, obviously, and this is completely unrelated to the cost of parts, have insurance. Don't be driving around an expensive truck with no insurance, just for yourself and for others that are on the road. Hopefully that goes without saying, but having had my wife hit by someone that wasn't insured, I guess it shouldn't go without saying. Number two, the dash cam, I thought it was kind of a novelty. I'll put links into the video where I installed that Garmin one. I'm testing another one, and we'll have some thoughts on that eventually. But theoretically, this could save me the $500 deductible, or at least contribute to saving me the $500 deductible. I think the dash cam was a couple $100, so not a bad deal. If I had a $1,000 deductible, that would have, double or triple paid for itself. In this case, it's kind of double paying for itself. Hopefully, this is the first and last time I will need a dash cam to record a auto incident in this vehicle anyway. Dash cam worked perfectly, did what I'd hoped to do. I thought it was pretty clear, pretty easy to see what happened. And, the insurance guy also agreed with that. The one funny thing, I have State Farm insurance, and there's a way to upload pictures into their automated claims system. There's no way that I can discern to upload video. There's like a 2 megabyte file limit. It doesn't take any sort of file extensions related to video that I can figure out. I did all kinds of crazy stuff to compress the video to fit within whatever their file size limits were, uploaded it, and it was like, we don't accept a .mkv or a whatever extension I had for video. So hopefully that will all work its way through the system. Other thing of note, this is during the 2022, everything's crazy. We're blaming supply chain. We're blaming COVID. We're blaming, vast right-wing conspiracies, whatever we're blaming at the moment. I took my car in to get the estimate at the collision place, which is Caliber Collision. They seem to be a chain that I think is nationwide. If nothing else, it's a chain kind of in the east coast of the United States. And they basically said, hey, we're backed up. It's going to be a month and a half till we get you in. Car drove fine. Everything was fine. I would assume and or hope that if you had a major collision that kind of took your car off the road, they would put you to the head of the queue. My collision being relatively minor, maybe they kind of put me to the end of the queue. 45, 50 day wait to just get my car into the body shop. It has now been in for 6 days. And, last I heard, they were painting it. They said they were down to 2 painting techs. So as long as they do a good job, I don't mind waiting a few extra days. Hopefully they don't have, somebody that is brand new to painting cars and there's overspray and all kinds of junk. But I'm going to assume the best. I've used these guys once before and they did a good job. So do be aware if you get into a collision, it seems like there's a backup due to staff shortages. They mentioned part shortages sometimes throw them off, especially on these new trucks. So, the other thing that I learned out of this, and I don't do a ton of towing yet, I have some plans on getting a travel trailer of some sort, but I don't know if the guy was by himself or not. He might have been meeting people there, but he was towing this camper and, just kind of threw it in reverse and, rolled on back. And it looked like his camper was pretty new, so he may have been new to the towing game as well. But the few times I've towed, whenever I've backed up, it's probably 80% due to incompetence on my part, 20% due to concern for safety. But I've always had a spotter go out and just, make sure I didn't back into anything, make sure there were no kids running around or whatnot. This whole thing could have been avoided, if that dude had just thrown it in park, popped out and said, hey, I'm going to back up and try and go down this little turnaround. You mind kind of backing up and just watch out for me. I would have been more than happy to do that. I would have been more than happy to, to back up and jump out with my flashlight and kind of give him some guidance if he needed it. And that would have taken all of 3-4 minutes maybe versus, we were standing around for 15 minutes jawing and exchanging paperwork. This has added a few extra hours of inconvenience to my life. Presumably it's going to add some inconvenience and some cost to his life. That is the takeaway for me. If I'm going to be towing a trailer, and I've gotten a little lazy with the backup camera, particularly in the F-150, it's got that nice huge display. You can see really well behind you. I think it could be easy to just assume you're going to be okay. With the trailer, I would definitely throw a spotter out there, or in a situation like that, get out myself, just explain to people behind me what's going on, ask them to back up and make some room and avoid a situation like that. So kind of good lesson for me. Hope that you found this helpful and informative. If you do end up in a collision, hopefully you are okay. You can always fix a vehicle. You can't fix yourself. So, I think that's the number one thing. And again, this whole incident, it's a bummer to have your 4-month-old truck get dinged up and end up in the body shop. But, everyone was okay. The scouts were fine. There's some funny audio that I won't bore you with of just the boys talking while I was out exchanging information and, saying, oh, it's his new truck. He's going to be mad, all this stuff, which was kind of funny. But ultimately, this is why we have insurance. And, if you end up in one of these things, just be prepared, like all things these days, it seems, to wait a little bit. And hopefully you get back on the road soon. And hopefully I will see you out there. Definitely think about that dash cam thing, particularly if you're going with a higher deductible on your auto insurance. And stay safe, be well. Watch out for those jokers with pop-up campers throwing things into reverse. Ever wonder why every talking head on YouTube asks you to hit the like and subscribe button at the end of their video? You were right, because we're living in a computer simulation. And our benevolent robotic overlords get just a little bit of energy every time you hit that like. So do me, the rest of civilization, and our benevolent robotic overlords a favor. Mash that subscribe, be kind to each other, keep living your simulated dreams.